Yeah, sustainability. So have you seen an improvement in that regard? Are mining companies taking sustainability more seriously?
Well, yes, I go back 30 years in the industry, so I've seen huge developments. The days that I got a bit frustrated because I felt they were always dealing with issues end of pipe, and once things became an issue, they were trying to fix them. And certainly there's a huge awareness within the mining industry and a commitment to reducing their environmental footprint, to contributing to the sustainable development of the communities in which they operate. But I think, as I've mentioned earlier, these are complex issues, and the mining industry is still struggling to find its feet. They traditionally, it's hundreds and hundreds of years of working very much within the fence, and anything that happened outside of the fence was not their issue. And of course, pollution and issues, they cannot be contained. Fences do not hold them. So there's all these socio-economic and environmental issues that are crossing the fence. And the mining industry are still grappling with how to do this effectively. They're having to deal with a lot of challenges, and there's still a lot of issues around the heterogeneous nature of communities. How far do we go? What do we measure? How do we communicate when there's such an imbalance in power? So there's a lot of issues around and frustrations from the communities and even from governments, lack of capacity, inability to understand the issues, distrust. The trust deficit is still, they are really battling to overcome it. Everybody is. And there's a lack of trust even between the different mining companies. They don't trust each other, and they're operating next door to each other. So there's still a lot of issues that need to be overcome, but I'm an academic, and I see every issue as an opportunity to find a solution. So I think that there are a lot of opportunities. And I think one of my biggest lessons, I had a student that I put on to trial our program who was actually anti-mining. She was an activist in anti-mining. And she just changed completely because she started to see that, yes, there were issues and yes, there was a lot of problems, but she started to see the possibility and the opportunity. And I think that we need to keep doing that. I think that there's still a need for industry, that tendency, and I could see this particularly with international organizations, for industry to pat themselves in the back and say how well they're doing. And I think they need a bit of a wake up. They need those antagonists who tell them that you're not doing this well. And there is still a need for more proactivity. So the mining industry still has a tendency to sort of think that they sort of put their blinkers on and say, well, we're doing a good job here, and ignore things that are just too difficult for them to deal with. So,
do you think government sometimes comes in for unfair criticism from mining companies, or are there key areas where it could be streamlined?
Oh, there are key areas where it can be streamlined. The more I see, the more I think that government is not coming under enough criticism, quite frankly. They're sitting with a foot in each fence, and they're not keeping anybody happy. So they don't know who they want to even support. So on one hand, they say they want the mining industry because they bring in revenue. On the other hand, it's all about the people. But they're not supporting either very well. And it's certainly, I think, is creating a lot of tension. I've seen this, as I said, that is the one thing that the pro and the anti-mining lobbies have in common. It's their anger against the government. So the government's doing something wrong.
And light at the end of the tunnel, where do you think that's going to come from?
Where is the light? I think the light in the tunnel is going to come from people really beginning to realize that they actually can't rely on government, that there has to be collective action between businesses, and I'm sure you saw when our panel members from industry, they're talking about agricultural projects. So they're starting to see the mining industry start to form collaborative partnerships with communities, with other businesses, because they are starting to realize that their viability, investor confidence, etc., is actually dependent on their ability to get that social license, a license to operate, which is social acceptance. So I think that is where the pressures and drivers are coming from. So, yes, I know there's a power imbalance, but actually communities have more power than I think that they even realise. They are changing the government. I think that there's a lot of independent bodies that are also getting involved. There's a lot of involvement. I think the SDGs provide a wonderful platform. And there are United Nations and the World Economic Forum that are actively involved. And we as a group at UCT have been consistently putting mining on the table. We did at the World Sustainability Forum last week. We put mining on the table because at the end of the day, our whole fourth industrial revolution needs mining. People were putting up graphics and photographs to depict the different sustainability development goals, and every single one of them had minerals and metals in them, every single one of those pictures. So we need minerals and metals. Despite the drive towards the circular economy and reduced consumption, we are still going to need metals. And I think there's something like 13 metals in solar panels, 16 in wind turbines. So if we want renewable energy and we want the fourth industrial revolution, we're going to need metals and mining. We just have to find a way to use those metals and minerals in a way that benefits everybody and doesn't degrade the environment.
Almost offsetting the damage that mining does by creating a renewable energy on site and cleaner water treatment.
Yes, offsetting. There's actually quite a lot of work being done around biological offsetting of degraded land. So it can be a way to see it, but I still think that we need to do things right from the beginning. Offsetting is an option that we can sort of balance. And that's why you need this broad perspective and this broad systems approach to these very complex problems. And that's why mining operations need to get out of their little holes that they dig for themselves and start to understand how they are interconnected into the broader environment.
And mine closure is a big talking point. What are some of the innovative ways we can approach mine closure?
I think that I'm very excited about the whole looking at mine closure from a regional land use planning perspective, that we can start to use that land more innovatively. So I know that I've had some conversations with mining companies where they talk about, building solar plants on top of mine dumps as long as they're benign. So there are a lot of options in terms of do we backfill, how are we going to use that land in the future? Who's going to own it? Who's going to take responsibility? As you spoke about this water and the mine starting to generate water for communities, how is this going to be sustainable in the long term? Who is going to own those plants? The mining has potential to really make a huge contribution in terms of skills and the infrastructure that they can provide and the capabilities, but they're not going to be there forever. So we need to plan beyond the existence of the mining. I think a big thing that didn't come up, and I think it's very important, that it must be mining with the people. So we need to take mining out of the centre and have everybody around them as players. Mining needs to be one of the players there. And it's not a player that's going to be there forever, but it can have and often does have a significant impact on the surrounding environment and on the communities. So that impact needs to be managed. I think there's a lot of possibilities, but it's got to be linked into regional land use planning, and this whole idea of rehabilitating, covering everything up with grass and leaving is not the way to go.
And education is obviously key. What's the uptake at UCT for people wanting to get into mining-related fields of employment?
Mining went through a slump, became very unsexy. But I think that we've seen a difference. We've been pretty dynamic in our group in terms of, bringing in. We have forum discussions, and we emphasize that we bring in all this new stuff, drones. We're partnering with the electrical engineering company.
Internet of Things as
to
well.
use the Internet of Things, the connection into the fourth industrial revolution, the circular economy. So we bring all these things in, and it's very important with our students that even if those who are doing quite fundamental stuff, that they understand how this relates to the broader picture. All our students are required to say how their work relates to the Sustainable Development Goals, and certainly within our particular environment at the moment, there's a lot of excitement, there's a lot of around what Minerals to Metals Research Grouping is doing, and people coming in, they go and we send them to law departments to do courses in the Graduate School of Business. We want them to really understand how important mining is to the world, and how they can make a difference through their involvement in mining research. So we work very hard on that, and we've certainly we're getting a lot of students now choosing to come and work to us simply because of this whole drive of sustainability. The millennials, they want to make a difference to the world, and so we're providing them with the opportunity to do that.
It sounds like the next Summer of Love's coming.
Let's hope so. I think that it's mining. Listen, I think we need to de-emphasize. There used to be when gold got a cold, South Africa got flu, and I think that we need to diversify. I think that's very important. So mining must be seen, one, as a number of opportunities to develop in the country. I do a lot of work on downstream beneficiation as well, and it's not a big job spinner, but it can be very important in developing skills. But we need to develop other industries, and we need to develop them in parallel with mining. That's right. So I don't think we'll ever see the days where mining sort of dominated South African economy, but it's an important part of Africa. Mining has an important role to play in the future of Africa.